So this is the dashboard. It's like the main menu that gives you access to everything. So you'll see here students, and this, if I scroll through here, if I'm a regular classroom teacher, this will show all the students that I have in my class. Specialists, slightly different. You have to choose your class from a little drop down class you want to look at. In here, I can tap on any of these students. So let's tap on Anita Bath. And it'll go to Anita Bath's information. I can edit stuff, correct things, and then I can just go back. If I want to email any of these students' parents, I can just tap on the email. And if there was right now you only see one lit up, it's Email Guardian 1. That's because there's only an email in Guardian 1. If there was an email address entered for Guardian 2, that would be available, would light up. If both were there, both would light up. If the students was there, it would light up. And then email guardians and students, obviously, if they were all there. So if I want to add a student, I can tap the little menu button there and quickly add a new student, or I can go to the student menu, which is really the same thing as touching the student menu over here. So you can see this student menu has, I can view students in the list. I can view the student form, which we just looked at a minute ago there. I can do a quick add, a full form add, or I can pull them in from a spreadsheet. So I'm just going to go back to the dashboard. On each student, I can just press the little menu bar button and press delete if I don't want them anymore. So that's basically it for students. You will see here these two, a red and a blue dot. That just means if I tap on the student that they have a medical condition, and I just threw some junk. If you put something down here, whatever it is, asthma, requires EpiPen, as long as there's any content in there, it'll assume they have a medical condition. And program plan, if they're in a program plan, you just press yes, and then you put the details down there. That's what those two dots mean. I'm going to go back. Now, if you were a classroom teacher, this interventions button will be here. And you can do interventions for different students. And that'll be covered in another video. Over here, you can see assessments. These are all the assessments I've done so far. So you can see here reading. I can change to math, and sometimes you'll see a math list, math projects. Sometimes you have to tap outside for it to fully take effect, but it did there. So science, you can see went to science. If I want to view that science assessment, I just tap on it, and it takes me to the assessment. And I just go back, or I could have done home. So here you can see I can custom sort these. I had a request so if I go to math, teacher wanted them to be able to be sorted not just by date, but by a custom order. So you can do a custom sort by pressing custom sort order, and you put OK, and then you just change these numbers to the order you want. So I tap here and I put number, say 2, and here I tap and put number 1. So it already switched them. And so that's for like a custom sort order. So I just submit that when I'm done, and they'll go in that order rather than the date. Okay. If I want to add an assessment, I tap add assessment, and these are all the different types. And they'll be covered in other videos too. If I want to view these assessments in a list, just not by subject like this, I can go assessment list, and you can see my mathematics ones, my reading ones, and graphing ones. And to go to any of them, I can just press the little arrow beside them or on top of them, and then it takes me to their actual assessment. So I'm going to press back or home. I'm going to do home on this one. It goes back to the dashboard. On the side here is the menus. So you can see here I can go to students. This calendar it opens up a Google Calendar, so you'd have to sign in the first time. And once you sign in, it'll just open up your calendar after that. Here we have assessments. That's all the assessment information. So creating assessment, adding assessment lists, going to the assessment list like we just did. This is the same thing we saw earlier. There's exemplars and comment banks, and viewing rubrics and adding rubrics and continuums. Interventions take you to a whole kind of intervention module. Summaries, these are basically reports that show student achievement. So I'll just pick one. I can choose a student, like Anita Bath, and I can choose the assessments I want to look at, and it'll basically just create a report of all those together. We go back to home. Reports is for writing report cards. Parent-teacher, it takes you through a little process. You can use the interview wizard, and it'll allow you to kind of set up a schedule. So when parents come in, all the students' information will pop up, and you can have highlighted different ones you want to talk about. You can take notes or create notes beforehand, what you want to talk about. You can email the conversation that you've had to the parents afterwards. So a bunch of things can be done in that, but again, check that out with the video links. And standards, this is where you can get your standards, your curriculum standards. We brought them in an earlier video, but if you didn't bring them in, you can bring them in here by pressing Get Standards. You can view the standards you have by pressing View Standards. It's basically how to manage all that information. So you see all the health ones, humanities, maths, and so on. So I'm going to go back to home. The plan book right now isn't available in this version. It's still being updated, but it'll come out in a new update. Communication, you can email parents, groups of parents. So if you look back on dashboard, I'm really only emailing one parent at a time on here. But if I want to send something to a whole class, I can go to communication and new email, and it'll and send one to whatever students I select. So I'll just do new email so you can see everyone is selected on the side there. I could type the subject in the email body, paste something in there if I want, or just type it in. I can deselect everyone at the top and just select the ones I want to send to, and so on. And if you see an envelope with a red line through it, that just means there's no email addresses entered for those students, so the parents didn't provide one. So I'm going to go back to home, or back to the dashboard, and the last is settings. And in settings, you can go to class settings, which shows the information that you would have entered when you first started up the app. Cloud services, these are whether you use Google Drive or Google Docs, and it'll open up those apps to pull information from. New Year setup, when a new year rolls around, you want to clear out the old data and bring in the new. That's use the New Year setup. Data management, you can clear out full modules if you want, so I can get rid of all my students, all my assessments, or all the standards if I want to just clear those individual ones out. And backup just backs up this to either an email or a cloud drive backup. And go back to dashboard. This share button allows you to share rubrics, comment banks, or your students and assessments. The students and assessments, to share that would be as if I'm job sharing with someone, and I tend to, when I'm working with a job share person, I would say the job share person has their own iPad. They track the information they want. You track the information you want. You can share it back and forth, but I wouldn't do it too regularly. I just kind of would wait till it gets close to parent-teacher time, and then pull it onto one iPad so that you can discuss everything with the parents.